All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on the Dota Radio Morning Show. Thank you so much for joining us bright and early here on October 23rd for our very first episode. And we are back with our interview guest, the man of the hour. We're going to have Owie2000 with us, and I believe he is on the line. Owie, are you coming in loud and clear, buddy?
Hello.
Yes. Awesome. You sound crystal clear. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being sort of our guinea pig guest, as it may be. How are you feeling today?
I'm okay. I just woke up, so I'm a bit tired.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Charlie texted me, woke me up.
Good. I'm glad to hear our master of communications is on point, making sure our guests are here. Thank you for getting up in time, though, to chat with us. We do really appreciate it. So first thoughts. The topic of the hour today is 6.79. That is the big patch. What's your take on the patch overall? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you a fan of Ice Frog's style of totally throwing the meta up in the air every year or year and a half or whatever frequency he chooses to do it?
I like the fact that the metagame sort of gets shifted like that because it does become a bit stagnant and stale after a while. To be honest, my initial reaction to the patch was pretty negative just because I don't deal with change particularly well, but as I played the patch a bit more, like I'm starting to like it more and more, so it seems like the patch will be pretty good, in my opinion.
So, of the heroes that you like to play, you are position 4 for Speed Gaming, aka Rattlesnake International, aka Kaipi. Is there a hero or set of changes in particular that really throw a wrench into the playstyle of your team or the heroes that you usually play?
Well, I usually play support like I play carry, like I just farm. So then jungle changes supposedly not supposed to be that good for me, but I've actually found that the jungle it's more gold now. It's less CXP.
Right.
But it's not even that much less CXP because the small camp and medium camp got changed. And usually as a jungler, you use the 3 right camps on Dire or 3 left camps on Radiant. So that actually doesn't matter that much. And you farm your item a lot faster. That being said, there's a lot more early action. I found like for example, from the game's first Navi or from scrims, like it's basically 5v5 mid a lot of the time, which is interesting, I guess. It's refreshing because, I mean, versus Navia is already like 3v1 mid if you go mid because you always have them ganking mid, but now you have to react to it because you have nothing else you can really do.
Right, and I know a hero that you play, at least semi-frequently, Visage, was nerfed a little bit, his base armor reduced by 1, and also his base magic resistance reduced from 25% to 10%. What do you think about those Visage changes? Is that enough to get him kind of on par, or is he still a ridiculous force in the way of supports? Is he still first, second pick material?
Yeah, I think he's still first pick material. That hero is just so incredibly strong. Like, even if you nerf his laning a little bit like that, you're only nerfing the defensive aspects of his laning. So as long as he stays back, like he's still a 600 range hero who's really hard to kill because if you go on him, you either have to chain stun him or he can just scrape chill someone and run because he becomes really fast with a 32% movement speed bonus.
Right.
So, I mean, the nerf hurts him a bit. He actually starts with negative 2% resistance to physical attacks, but it's not as bad as people think. Like, he's still one of the best heroes in the game, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. So I like those kind of changes where it helps lower his tankiness but doesn't change the core of the hero. He still has all the great things that he does bring to the table. The nukes, the slows, and the familiars are still just as powerful as they always were. So one of the other things we've seen with this patch is I've heard some of the casters poking at, is this the end of the tri-lane meta, the tri-lane years that it's been? And we've seen the duo lanes, at least over the past few days, becoming a little bit more popular. We saw that match yesterday of, what was it, Alliance versus, I'm forgetting who it was, but they had that CM that just got out of control, and that's part of the power of the duo lanes is your supports get a little bit more versus that tri-lane where it's all about the carry. Do you think there's truth to that? Do you think this patch is going to encourage more duo lanes, sort of a 2-1-2 rather than a 3-1-1 as it may be?
I mean, dual lanes are a lot stronger in this patch, but they nerfed it in a very nice way, or they nerfed tri lanes in a very nice way in the fact that you can still tri lane. It's not as bad as people think right now. If you tri lane a lot of times against dual lanes, if you just have an overwhelming tri lane, then you can zone 2 heroes completely out of the XP still. And just because the creepy equilibrium starts near the side secret shop, you can do that from minute 0 instead of before where even if you're 3v1, they would get 1 wave of the XP as a short lane.
Oh, okay. yeah, and that is another change that we didn't mention, but now in the long lanes, the creeps come a little bit closer to the long lane tower, so it's a little bit easier for the off laners to get some lane control early on. Was one of the things that we didn't mention. And one of the other heroes I wanted to ask you about was Crystal Maiden. Since the patch hit, we've seen her in an absurd amount of games, and I think on Dat Dota, that catalogs the competitive matches, she's been picked some absurd portion. She's either been picked or banned. I should have pulled up these stats ahead of time here, but she's been picked or banned a lot. Do you have any insight about why Crystal Maiden in particular has been sort of a breakout hero of this patch? Her win rate is about 58% or so in the 19 games they have cataloged since 0.79, but she's in the tied for the first place slot of most games played with Clockwork and Timbersaw. Any thoughts about the CM?
I don't think it's the patch that really changed anything for her. She was starting to get picked a lot in the previous patch before the changes went through. But she's one of the best dual laners, so that might come into play. And she's also very good at these early rotations and early fights that the patch happens. I mean, I mentioned 5v5 mid, but I don't know how serious I was with that, but it does happen quite a bit. And CM is one of the best heroes with that, because the thing about CM is that you can just cast your Crystal Nova and then walk away, and no one can really touch you, even though she's super slow. The only time that hero really dies is if you go into frostbite someone or you get caught way out of position.
Right.
So as long as she's played carefully, she's really, really good in these early skirmishes. Her aura is also incredible. Like, it's so good right now with like 1 mana per second at level 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like sometimes I play pubs with my friends and then someone picks CM and I just never run out of mana because they max the aura.
Yeah.
It's
pretty insane. I don't want to say it's a 1-point wonder because it's worth leveling up, but just that first point, +1 mana regen, is huge for everyone. Like you said, it's a noticeable difference when you have a CM in your roster. I want to ask you though about Monday when you guys played against Na'Vi. That was a weird series because the patch hit, 30 minutes before your best of 3 was supposed to start, something like that. So you guys kind of inadvertently became the guinea pigs for this new patch. And that's one complaint I have maybe with the way Valve rolls these patches out, is that there's sort of no coordination with tournaments. So stuff like that happens where really important competitive matches where money is on the line. This was a round robin matchup, but still every match counts. And when they throw the meta up in the air like this, what's that like? How did you guys prepare for that match or that series, knowing that sort of the playbook has been thrown out the window and you gotta maybe not start over from scratch, but reevaluate a lot of the heroes and what's going to happen to the meta in that series?
I mean, we didn't really have a lot of time to reevaluate what we were gonna do, so we sort of just went with it. Like, we discussed a few things, but like, I know like Sing Sing didn't even read the full patch log. I know Dendi didn't read the patch log at all. So that game was just, I don't know. It was an interesting game. We didn't really know what was happening. I mean, we saw the Lich changes and we picked them in the first game. And Na'Vi clearly hadn't read the patch log because after they saw that hero once, they instantly banned him in the next game, right?
Yep.
Like, that hero's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Lich and Night Stalker, as we mentioned earlier, he was one of the highlights of that series. But actually, you guys, and by you guys, I mean both you and Na'Vi, you guys kept pretty true to the meta picks in terms of Bat Rider and all that stuff. Do you have any thoughts about the Wisp change now? How Tether doesn't stun, but instead it's that 100% attack speed, movement speed slow. Do you like that? Any thoughts?
I mean, Wisp definitely needed a nerf. That hero was 100% OP. And same thing for Bat Rider. Like, those heroes were way stronger than all the other heroes. Mm-hmm. But I like that change. I like these small nerfs to the heroes. Like Bat Rider, 10 base damage. It sounds on paper like so much, but he's actually still not even that bad in lane. And he can still jungle completely fine, I think. It's harder and it's slower. You don't get like some... I know, okay, last patch, not a lot of teams did this, but there's ways to get like a 6-minute 30 blink with a jungle or something. Like, and teams were getting at 8 or 9 minutes. But like, if you have a 6-minute 30 blink or something like that hero was absurd because that's an extra blink lasso that you have or something. And they needed these nerfs, but they're still pickable. Like, they're still strong heroes. That's how like OP they were before, I think.
Right. Yeah, and I think that is the takeaway from Bat Rider, that even though they just hit his damage upside the head with the nerf stick, he's still good. He still has all the stuff that makes Bat Rider scary. Lasso, once you get the blink, the Force Staff, same stuff that he can do. It's just harder to get the ball rolling and snowball out of control in those first couple minutes. Monolith or Hippie, do you guys have anything about the patch or meta that you want to ask him before we move into more macroscopic stuff about speed gaming?
Just real quick, talking about the Batrider changes with the jungle. You say it's still reasonably easy for him to jungle. I mean, do you think that the layout to the jungle also hit him a lot, or is that not really a big deal? The fact that now he's got a medium camp and a hard camp for his, because generally you'd see the rotations between hard camp and easy camp no matter which jungle you were in, just because of the positioning. Is it really better for him now to have that medium camp, or is it less good because they're a little tankier, because you have the chance of mud golems when you're trying to stack up for the Firefly? Talk to me a little about that.
I think it's always bad when you have a chance to get something that you can't kill, like mud golems, and then that camp is just completely gone to you. But the thing about Batrider now is, like, before he had to hit his level 2 at the easy camp in the previous patch, but now, like, and people think that that's a huge nerf to jungling, but now it's you can just go to the offlane to get your level 2 because it's impossible to zone you, and range heroes don't even get denied that hard. So you're pretty much always going to be able to hit that level 2 somewhere else, and you can still jungle. The medium camp and small camp, I think that's the biggest nerf in the jungle. But as long as you still have those 2 big hard camps and you have like a support who's willing to stack it a couple times for you, your Blink Digger is still going to be really fast.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, the mud golems are definitely one thing that I hadn't really thought about in my head. That you're right. That is one thing that can really screw up that farm, because sticky napalm Firefly action, well, doesn't work against those magic immune units. So, Monolith, I know you had a few comments you wanted to make about the name changes here. I think that's a good next topic. You guys were Kaipi, and then you got picked up by Rattlesnake International, and now you guys are Speed Gaming. Do you want to shed a little bit of insight as to how those name changes occurred and why Speed Gaming? Is there any significance behind that, or is it just a cool name that you guys pulled out of a hat?
I'd like to go on record and just say I had nothing to do with the name changes. I'd like to absolve myself of all responsibility regarding name changes. I don't know why it's Speed Gaming, actually.
You guys are all hopped up.
I mean, I think it's
around.
supposed to be a new brand or something like that for an esports organization, but I'm not particularly sure why it's Speed.
Yeah. It's an interesting choice, and for the little bit that I read, and Monolith, maybe you can back me up on this, it was, like, as you mentioned, Owie, a branding thing, breaking out from Rattlesnake International, sort of making something more identifiable. And but rumor has it that the other Rattlesnake may be changing their name to Speed Gaming too. Was that what we had talked about?
Yeah, I can imagine that they might pretty soon. So I guess Rattlesnake probably isn't the best name in China, because of things like censors and that. Yeah, Speed Gaming, man, gotta go fast.
Does this mean we're gonna see more Bloodseeker pickups from Speed Gaming? Is this gonna be a thing?
Ooh.
Oh, I hope so. I played a pub with that hero yesterday. It was really fun. I played him against a Meepo, actually, and when the clones go under 50%, you get movement speed for all of them. So I was running at like 1400 movement speed.
Jesus.
That's ridiculous.
Jesus.
It's pretty nice. And like Yo Scepter still stacks, so I got 3 of those just so I could run faster.
That's funny. That's funny. So, I'm glad I have it wrapped around my head correctly, though, because I have to admit there were a few matches where I was just like, oh, Navi versus Speed. I don't really want to watch that. I've never heard of Speed. It'll probably be a blowout. And then I connected the dots and went, oh, I need to be more up to date with my Dota news. You guys are like changing names faster than I can register. But so is it safe to say, at least for the foreseeable future, as far as you know, your Speed Gaming is where it's at? Because it's the same organization as Rattlesnake. It's just simply a name change for branding. Nothing else has changed in terms of sponsors, ownership, or that kind of stuff. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I
cool.
think so.
I think so. Good. At least not to your knowledge.
I think our tag might change from SG to something else, though. Because apparently in China there's something called SG Gamers.
Yeah. Well, when I hear SG, I think Stay Green, but that's the little bit of Han in me coming out, because that's a Han team, but that's a whole nother can of worms. So one of the things that is interesting about you as a player is you used to be a carry player, and now here you're supporting for Team Kaipi Speed Gaming. How was it making that transition? Earlier you mentioned that you play support like you play carry, you just farm. But was that a hard transition to make, at least at first, to wrap your head around just the difference in play style of all about farm versus now supporting and making someone else all about farm?
I think it's a pretty hard transition. I think that I still haven't fully adapted, or like not even half adapted really. Like I don't camp people that well. My ganks are awkward. Like I farm fast and I split push well, but that's the same thing as a carry, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've adapted to the role that well at all, and I'm still having trouble with that. Like I think the main thing is that I don't watch enough replays. And as support carry, you need to play a lot of Dota. The 1, 2, 3 roles, you need to play a lot. Supports, you need to play a bit less, but you need to watch a lot of replays because you need to. It's more about predicting movement.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very easy, I find, to predict movement for yourself. Like, hey, I know they're ganking me, so I need to move to this position so I can split push here when they are trying to get this tower. And then my team can fight 4v5 and I TP in. And we've just gotten a 400 gold advantage and damage on their tower in a trade for defending a tower and wasting their time. Like, the carry role is very straightforward like that. But for support, you need to know before they're pushing or before they're ganking where you need to be. And I don't do that very well yet.
So that's just one of those. It's interesting that you mentioned support is a little bit less about the mechanics and more about the knowledge, knowing your opponent, knowing where they're going to be, knowing how they like to ward, where they like to ward, and being able to catch them off guard. So that is a much different mindset that I can only imagine would be difficult to wrap your head around. Is it a little bittersweet? Do you guys ever do you wish that you could still be a carry player, or are you pretty happy in your support role with Speed Gaming?
I actually really like the support role. I think two of my favorite heroes are Enchantress and Visage.
Mm-hmm.
And when I played carry, I think a while back I was a pretty top tier carry, but I stagnated. Like I stopped improving, and like I don't particularly know why that is, but I think that the transition will be good for me as a player.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope it works out well for you. If you could describe your play style in one word, what word would you choose?
Farm.
Farm. I like it. I like it. And when I was preparing for this interview, I came across an older interview that you did where I know for a while you were balancing being a semi-full-time student with your pro gaming career, and through the grapevine, I've heard now that you're focusing full-time on gaming and you're taking some time off school. First of all, is that accurate? And tell us about your decision to focus on gaming full time versus your education.
Well, in terms of taking a year off school, there wasn't much of a negative trade-off. My university allows students to just take a year off.
Oh, wow.
Like no questions asked, no anything. Sabbatical. Like you can just take a year off. You actually don't even need to tell them anything. You can just not sign up for courses. But I emailed my academic advisor, and he's just like, "Yeah, don't worry."
Wow. That's cool.
So there's no negative to it. And honestly, like when I went to TI3, I wasn't fully decided what I wanted to do yet. But after seeing that tournament, like that tournament was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was really inspiring. I just wanted to play Dota. Yeah. So I decided to take a year off, and now I'm going to China where I can't speak Chinese.
That will be.
You know what the worst thing is, actually? Like, I'm full Chinese blood, so I look Chinese. So everyone's going to start yelling at me in Chinese. And they're going to think I'm so stupid because I can't understand them. But they think I'm just ignoring them because I look Chinese or something. Like, yeah. Oh my God.
That's a little scary. That move into another country where you don't speak the language, that is... That's going to be an adventure, man. That's definitely one you can get back to school with some interesting anecdotes for sure and impress all of your friends. And that's awesome, though. It's always a heartwarming tale to hear, folks that have been doing sort of the normal track, so to speak, really motivated and able to take their gaming career to the next level. And I'm disappointed I've yet to make it to an international. I definitely have to hit TI4 and get some of that motivation that you spoke about. Monolith or Hippie, do you have anything else to add here? That's pretty much the end of my set of questions. So anything you guys want to add here at the end before we wrap up the interview with Mr. Owie 2000?
I think I'm good on my end.
When do you guys leave for China?
I believe that we leave right after DreamHack. Like, we're going straight from LBG to DreamHack to China.
Okay.
But the Dota 2 Championship League, like, the times conflict with it, and that's a really big league, so I'm not 100% sure what's happening yet, which is really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Awesome. So we are going to have one more segment coming up. Aoi, you're welcome to stay on with us. We are going to talk about Lich in some good detail here. So if you have another 5 or 10 minutes, you're welcome to stay. If not, and you need to prepare, totally up to you, sir. No pressure either way. But regardless, thank you for coming on as our first interview guest. And any shout outs or any other closing thoughts, as it may be, you'd like to make?
Shout out to my team, SG, I guess. And
Gotta go fast.
gotta go fast.
All
and
right.
I guess shout out to
racer.
these bunch of friends that I smurf with sometimes. I play team matchmaking, and their team name is SPG 2000, and they have a picture of me as their flag with my face on it. And they pick all the speedy heroes in the game. So that's the one good thing from the name change, I think.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, all right, let's talk about Lich a little bit. And this is going to be Hippie's segment here for sort of in an addendum to what has happened to our meta. And we got a little overlay for it here. Where's my meta, Hippie? What's happened to it? And we'll go to our flashcards here. Give us the lowdown on the Lich and everything you got. What's going on, my friend?
All right, well, Lich is a hero that this patch, if you've been watching the competitive play at all, you've seen him first banned a lot. We saw it in that very first game. I think you mentioned it, Aoi, when we were talking about the Speed Gaming versus Na'Vi series. You guys first picked Lich, and Na'Vi realized how incredibly strong he was and first banned him basically every other series, making sure that he wasn't going to make his way in anymore. And the biggest thing, I mean, along with all of the other laning changes, the lane positioning, the way experience is generally kind of getting evened out a little bit more between a lot of different heroes, the fact that Sacrifice now spreads that XP to your own heroes is letting offlaners get a whole lot of extra experience. I think it was a Lich Clockwork lane in particular was what you guys ran. Aoi, correct me if I'm wrong, feel free. But
No, that's what we ran.
yeah,
Sorry.
and it was the Clockwork got a lot of extra levels, obviously because you guys were careful about denying between your own towers to make sure that enemy didn't get any XP off of that sacrifice. It ended up being like an underleveled carry lane against this really, really powerful Clockwork. We know how he can screw people over if he gets over leveled, and that change has just propelled Lich into this incredibly powerful state. And the other thing I found is that Lich got, a pair of changes at once. He also got the Frost Armor has his half effect against ranged heroes, and also the fact that that slow now stacks with Frost Nova. So it's when Ice Frog usually does, in my experience, these kind of major changes to how a skill works on a hero who's been mostly stable for a while, he likes to kind of do one skill at a time. In this case, it wasn't so. Lich got a couple of, pretty significant buffs. I think the Sacrifice one is more significant, but the Frost Armor buff is significant as well. And so getting multiple buffs at once has really just catapulted him forward. Mm-hmm. And I think, he's become this kind of first pick, first ban. He's always had very strong nuke power. He's always been able to kind of win you a lane for free with Sacrifice. But previously, people didn't really think it was quite worth it to pick him up. And now he's just immediately incredibly powerful. Yeah. So is there anything in particular, is there anything I've missed, Aoi, since we have you still here, that you think is really significant to why Lich has kind of made this jump forward?
So it's pretty indisputable that Lich got buffed this patch, right? But honestly, I think that Lich was sort of pickable the last patch too. Like, he wasn't that bad of a hero. And I think a lot of the reason why people didn't pick him is because they don't like that playstyle. It's sort of annoying to play with him on your team. Like, the playstyle you have to go for is lane domination, and the only team that really did that super well was Quantic, I guess, or Flipside, or whatever they're called now. I mean, if you guys are complaining about name changes, I don't know what they're called, and we scrimburst them, so...
Yeah, I still don't know what
I have no idea what their name is at this point.
But the changes they're really insane, because his ultimate change isn't really this patch, but that change is actually huge for him too, because now you can just toss it out even if there's summons there, and it's still going to do incredible amounts of damage to heroes. So that made him pretty strong, and then now you make him so that he's always going to be over-leveled. Your lane is always going to be over-leveled. For the first few waves, even though it's 44 seconds cooldown, you're basically going to get 5 creeps versus their 3 creeps just because you get to start denying at the start of your wave. So you get a bit of extra time to deny in there. The shared EXP, I don't actually understand why that's there, because no competent Lich is ever going to deny a creep with an enemy EXP. So he's just really strong right now, and his nuke is good. Like, even for early engagements, it's an 8-second cooldown nuke. That's a pretty decent slow and high damage.
Yeah, it's always been one of the more damaging nukes in Dota, and combined with the slow, of course, it doesn't have the same AoE on the slow as something like a Crystal Maiden, but if you're just looking to bring down one target, Lich has never been a bad choice, in my opinion. And you mentioned the ultimate buff, and yeah, that was from a patch ago, and I kind of expected to see him get a few more kind of situational picks with that ultimate buff, and we didn't really see it happen. And now just we saw the power. I mean, he's 9-2 right now, I think, in his 11 picks, which is an over 80% win rate, and it's brutal. I absolutely understand why a lot of teams are choosing to ban him out first ban.
Yeah, he's pretty insane.
I know Purian Flax is happy, or at least he's got to be. I know Lich is his favorite. We got to, if only we had his contact info, he would have been a good guest. But yeah, we'll continue to see action. If I think Lich is going to be one of those new heroes where we won't actually get to see him all that often, because he's banned so much now. A lot of teams don't even want to deal with him, so he just gets taken off the field right away. But we'll see. It's still hard to tell exactly how all of the changes are going to influence the meta. I'm sure over the next few weeks, more and more strategies will pop up with crazy heroes. And Aoi, again, while you're still here, one of the last heroes I wanted to ask you about was this whole Broodmother Slark thing, and both of them out of Captain's mode gives them a little bit of special attention. Do you like the changes that they have, and do you think once they're in Captain's mode, it's going to be chaos, or do you think their changes are subtle enough that it won't impact the overall meta all that much?
To be honest, I haven't played with them at all. I haven't seen them in a pub. I haven't played as them because they're not on CM, so I didn't really pay much attention to them. So I don't think I could really comment that much. But actually, no, that's not true. Sing Sing played Brood 1 game, and all he said was, Brood is still Brood, and I'm going to go become a ward on their hill. So he would stand on their high ground hill, and he would be a ward. So I don't know. But I mean, he also skips spiders, and it's also Sing Sing, so I don't. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's actually pretty close to the end. This is right around the time where, in normal cases, we would invite on viewers for calls. We have a plan in the future to set it up so that we could have viewer call in, but we didn't organize that for this first episode. And this is that time. If you have either myself, Hippie, or Monolith on Skype, and you'd like to join the conversation, want to add something, this is that last 5 or 10 minute window that we'll reserve here, for you guys to call in. So again, if you're one of those sort of half pubs, half someone that we know, feel free to shoot us a message, and we'll bring you in to do a little bit of open Q&A here to wrap things up. I've been scouring chat. Someone said, take our questions. I have not seen any legitimate questions in Twitch chat for Aoi so far, so I'm going to take that to mean y'all don't have too many questions. But again, Aoi, we really do appreciate you coming on, and good luck. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, if we have a few more minutes here, was about your match coming up against Liquid today for D2CL. You guys will be playing at 1 p.m. Eastern. Right now it is 15 minutes before 12, so obviously you got to get going here to prepare for that pretty soon. But Speed versus Liquid, any predictions? Going to be an easy 2-0? Are you any thoughts about just going up against Liquid in general?
I think that Liquid is potentially the best team in the world right now, actually.
Really?
I think that from playing the teams, I think that Liquid could easily be the best. If not, they're definitely a contender for the best. And we're inconsistent. Sometimes we can play like one of the best teams in the world. Sometimes we don't even play Dota.
So what are you playing?
I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know what we're playing.
They're just going fast.
Yeah, we're just going fast.
Pedal to the metal, and just head out the window, cruising around. No navigator.
Ward on the hill.
I like it. So it should be a good series, though, guys. Check out the D2CL stream. Toby will be doing coverage. It will be on Daily Motion. Dota Radio won't be covering it. We're still working out the... I have to admit, this is going to be a Zyori rant segment here. I didn't make the overlay because I didn't think I was going to rant on the first episode. Daily Motion, why is it so difficult to set up a live stream on your service? I just want to stream, and it's so hard. I have to upload videos. You guys have to approve my address. You got to get my thumbprint. I'm just kidding, but it feels like it. Jesus, man. Just let me make an account, turn on the stream. Just give me the damn stream key, and I'd be happy to promote your platform. But instead, you got to make it difficult. And with that, Dota Radio is not doing D2CL coverage today. So, curse you, Daily Motion. But alas, good luck to yourself and the rest of Speed Gaming. Hopefully, you'll pass it on to your teammates. The one question I will field here, how close do you live to Eternal Envy? Are you guys like next-door neighbors?
We're across Canada.
Oh.
So that's pretty far, I think.
Canada's a big place.
Yes, it's a pretty big place.
So you're, I guess you're near Vancouver, so you're far west coast, and I guess he is, I want to say he's in Toronto. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I just
he's
feel like
in
I read
Toronto.
that. Okay. Wow, I knew that. That's good. So yeah, that's pretty far. It's a long country. So, all right. So again, thank you for joining us. Hippie, Monolith, do you guys have any closing words here for the end of the first Dota Radio Morning Show episode?
Not so much. I guess if you guys have any guests that you particularly want to see, just tweet at me. I think my Twitter is probably somewhere on the stream.
It's actually
but yeah,
not, but it's at Monolith, I think, so it's pretty easy to remember.
It's at Monolith Dota. But yeah, if you want to see anybody, just tweet at me, let me know, and we'll get them on here.
All right, awesome. Hippie, any closing thoughts for you, my friend?
Similar to what Monolith said, I mean, he brings on the guests. If you have any particular hero or topic or replay you want me to talk about in my little 5-minute analysis desk, tweet me at HippieCasting, and I'll go through stuff. I'll pick what I find most interesting. If you guys don't send me something, I'll just pick something I like, and maybe you'll get sick of my taste, so you'll decide to tweet me anyway. But I'm good aside from that, man.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. So there it is, guys. Our first episode. We got about an hour 15. That's pretty solid. Again, we're planning on doing this Monday through Friday for about an hour, give or take, depending on the content, at about 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and some of that is variable upon how our guests are doing. Today, we started half an hour late because Aoi wouldn't be here until 11, and we wanted to make sure we had enough content to fill, and we had more than we needed, so that's good news. Again, make sure you visit us at dotaradio.com, and make sure you email us your feedback as well. We're always curious to hear about what you have to say. The portal where the podcast will be archived, dotaradio.com/morning show. And if you want to email into us, that is morningshow@dotaradio.com. Morningshow@dotaradio.com. Again, requests for guests, requests for content, and also open Q&A. All that stuff is more than welcome. Send us whatever you like. We got an email dedicated there to the morning show. So again, thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking about the nightmare of streaming platforms and esports right now and what the future holds. We will have a guest from Hitbox TV. They are launching a new platform. He'll be joining us tomorrow to talk in some more detail about what their platform brings to the table. But until then, guys, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. We'll see you on another cast.